Hi, I'm Zion, and welcome to a Lazy Edits feedback loop. Here's the thing, for a while now I've been wanting to look at the amazing world of the internet and how individuals on video platforms express, remix, and create. And what a better time to do that than the present. We're going to be taking a look at Mark Brown's miniseries Boss Keys, a series understanding how mainly Zelda dungeons are designed. We're going to be taking a look at 3 unique styles of boss keys, that being Minish Cap, Ocarina, and A Link to the Past, which uses the first graphics in the series. Recreating it, one would first darken the opacity and make this map on presumably Illustrator, before using Photoshop to get the doors and keys. In After Effects, you'd put the text here, one being in bold for contrast, while this effect is made in After Effects, a combo of trim paths and adding dashes. It's one of the more simpler solutions done on here, but later on we'll see that this technique is being switched out once it gets a little bit more complicated. At the start of Ocarina, we see the same design, now attempting to work with a series of different floors, which doesn't work that well. Nothing that spectacular happens that we haven't already seen before until the water temple. The color is now a monotone color for better visualization. The map looks 2D. I say it looks 2D because Skyward Sword, Majora's Mask, and most clearly Twilight Princess use 3D. Perhaps from Blender or After Effects' built-in Cinema 4D, I don't know. Either way, the problem that was at the start is now kind of gone because this section is more easily explainable. Well, sorta. This shows you how a complex dungeon works, while the second part of the map would show you how a dungeon is laid out. That part actually doesn't appear until the Minish Cap is where things get a little bit more complex, both for the dungeons and the way they're explained. With a better understanding of how the dungeons work, it splits into multiple sections. Here we're using the opacity trick, here we're using the Ocarina Part 1 trick, and then we get a look at the new dungeon map. This is all made with either Illustrator or Photoshop. I don't think it really matters. They go ahead and pop out here, which can be done by either using a mask or literally just making a shape over it. Not only do they get a little bit more complex and thus fine-tune over the course of the series, but this also ran into the problem of not being properly able to explain backtracking. The problem was patched by doing this, but it doesn't work that well. Perhaps a good idea would have been to use all the different maps. One to explain how linear a dungeon is, one to explain how a dungeon is laid out, and one to explain how a complex dungeon works. That could have been done here in Dark Souls to explain how the maps are all interconnected, because this to a person who's never played Dark Souls looks confusing. Or here, in this Breath of the Wild one, it could have used 3D to explain how the divine beasts work, or shrines, maybe even incorporating this one to show linearity. Either way, it's still visible that GMTK is finding its footing, and since we're going to be most likely looking at all the other stuff that GMTK and others have, there's still a lot to talk about. In the meantime, if there's any cool channel that you'd like to recommend, please tell me in the comments. This series is going to be a lot longer than most, and thus it's going to take a lot more time to make. So in the meantime, go watch me making these... I'm so close. Watch me make this GMTK slot machine intro. Damn, that was all in one take too.